Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Ever Crisis weapon tier list. Today we're going to be going over the man that will tell you to embrace your dreams and protect your honor, ZACK. At this point in the game, ZACK is a very flexible character. A lot of his weapons do a lot of different things, so yeah, we're going to go over them. Let's get the tier list started. At the start of every tier list, we have our usual little disclaimer. This tier list is my opinion, and it may be different than yours. And you know what? That's okay. And this is a great place for us to have a discussion down in the comments below. I'm genuinely interested right now if your experiences are drastically different than mine, as we're barely over a week into the game as it currently stands. And yeah, people are going to have different opinions. How I'm judging each weapon, rules and factors are right here if you want to pause to read it. And with that, let's get into ZACK's weapons. Starting off our tier list is ZACK's starting weapon in Crisis Score, the Type 99 Longsword. So re-looking back over this, and in terms of my tier list and how I've been processing everything, the Type 99 Longsword, Rapid Slash, does a circle sigil, so again, a little free sigil break is always nice. 400 physical, non-elemental, just sigil breaking is definitely better left spent to materia. Just ATB and sigil breaking is super, super important. Materia side of things, nothing crazy. Boost attack, the boost attack being a 16, it feels very low in comparison to a lot of the other types of weapons that we get. Like usually at this point, like it's like a 24. The critical potency, sure, like if it increased crit rate as well as not just crit damage, having just like a flat 10% crit rate is not too much. I normally, like if this was before, I think I would have put Type 99 Longsword into like A minus B, like C tier. Like I don't think the Type 99 Longsword is bad by any means. I don't think it's bad by any means necessary. I just don't think it is overly good. If you're having trouble beating any Crisis Core content and it's like your only weapon, which it shouldn't be, we got a free one earlier, and then we can also get the Parasol and then the Ifrit's blade. So for me, the Type 99 Longsword, I think I'm going to put it in C tier. Like it's not overly good. Sigils are best left in materia. The boost attack is so small. Boost critical potency. If a crit build comes out in the future, maybe, but even then, I don't picture it. In terms of the sub abilities, the boost attack is so small. The boost critical potency is small. I'm not going to put it quite in meh. I'm going to put it in okay. If this is the only sword that you have for ZACK and you really like the sigil breaking, even though it's better spent in terms of materia and using with your ruins, I'll put it into okay, because having boost attack and just that extra crit, it is close to just being okay. Like not very good. Transitioning over into a little bit of a support ZACK with the enhancing sword. With the enhancing sword here, again, we're gonna look. We'll look at the C ability first. Healing Vortex, magic, single cast, 101 potency. Let's just put in a comparison here. So let's say a 3-star level 10 Cura. Okay, you're gonna get Cura 5 ATB, same amount of ATB, and only 9 less healing potency without taking up one of your precious ability weapon slots. ZACK has a bunch of other weapons that have some very important abilities on them. I can't picture myself saving and using one of my ability slots for something that I can easily replace with a materia. And then if I have a weapon as well, if my main hand has a healing potency increase in the materia slot, this is just going to be better than that non-over boosted version. The boost heal 16, the boost ability potency, sure, we can make this maybe work for a healer in the future. The materia, nothing crazy over here. For me, I think it is ZACK's worst weapon. It is just, it gets replaced with a materia. That's strictly what it is. The R abilities on it, just because the fact that it is the worst weapon, the chances are you're not going to spend your resources to try and build it up. Trying to get something to like level 90, it takes a lot of resources. To level 80, it takes a lot of resources. Okay, you don't want to be wasting that on a weapon that could be more beneficial in more other characters. If that was like a boost heal like 32, maybe. If it was a boost heal 32 in the R abilities, it would be into okay. It would maybe even be into good, just to try and like throw that onto a healer. But just the stats on this in general, I don't recommend the enhancing sword. Now, instead of just pure support, we're going for a more defensive side of ZACK. We have the Defender over here. The Defender, 4 ATB, physical defense up 30 seconds. Okay, it adds a regen as well. That is the only like little extra bonus that say this would have over top of guard stick, is that it adds a little bit of a regen. Though the regen attached to it, please correct me with the regen, it should be based off of ZACK's healing stats. So chances are you're not going to be healing for like an incredible amount of time. You're not going to be, the region should be ticking that hard on this defender. The boost heal again is only a 16. The ice potency is a 12. ZACK has a bunch of other better weapons. Chances are you have either one of his other debuffs instead of the buffs. If this was AoE, I would rank this higher. If this was AoE, I would rank this as like a B+. If it was like medium to everyone instead of just single targets, I would rate this higher. For me, I'm also putting the defender into C tier. Yeah, if I rated guard stick that harshly on Aerith and that thing had 32 heal, even though I did bump it up to B tier in the future, there is not a chance I can put defender higher than a C tier as it stands right here. I just don't like single target buffs. I'm not the biggest fan of single target buffs. Doesn't matter, like if it was like high, if it went to high right away, which you can at max potency. Yeah. In terms of the sub abilities, I'm gonna put the sub abilities for it into okay though. I'm gonna put it into okay with how like Aerith, if she has her ice staff, if you're gonna get her to heal and also do some ice damage. Same with some other characters. The ice potency is surprisingly a bit higher than a lot of the other weapons that we're going into. Like just comparison over here for Cloud. The new sword that he has, 9 water potency on the Maritime sword, and Murasama, also 9 potency. Getting those elemental potencies we've gone over, elementals are going to be the way of where the metagame is going to go. Yeah, so the boost ice potency is nice. The boost heal would just be like a little bit of an extra bonus. If it was a 24 or higher, especially those 32s, I would rank this a lot higher. Yeah, with this, with the 16 and the 12, I'm going to put this just into okay. And now we're moving on to one of 2 of ZACK's fire swords, the Crystal Sword. Crystal Sword for 4 ATB does magic AoE fire damage. It also, for the R abilities, gives boost attack 16 and fire potency 12. Again, another 12 potency on the elemental. Boosting attack is nice because it does, if you want your ZACK to still hit hard with his other physical abilities, but you just want to boost up the magic that is the Crystal Sword itself, it's just going to boost both, which is nice. The thing that makes the Crystal Sword, I know we said that like all AoE magics are going to be A, the single targets are going to be A+. The thing that's going to put this into A+ though is the sigil boost. I will shout this from the rooftops, but being able to break 5 sigils in a single ruin is really good. We're going to get into tighter and tighter DPS races as it gets into the future of this game, and I think just between trying to switch over to healing so your characters aren't dying when it wants to break and just trying to break it as fast as you can, the sigil boosts are going to be invaluable. For me, especially with elemental, I am going to be putting Crystal Sword into an A+ tier. Sure, it's not the best in every situation. If you are breaking sigils, or if you need the sigils and you are dealing fire damage, and because something's weak to fire, S. Easy S. Okay, if you were just dealing fire damage, it still is maybe like an S-. It's definitely like an A+ for dealing fire damage. If you don't need the sigils or the fire damage, it definitely drops the sword down tremendously. The sword becomes not nearly as good. So this is a situational sword, but in the situations that it shines, oh boy, does it shine. In terms of the R abilities, I'm going to be putting this still into okay. It's nothing crazy. I wish the boost attack was a 24. If the boost attack was a little bit higher in terms of a 24, the fire potency is great. Most potencies, I'm going to enjoy those stats because you are looking for specific elements for specific characters. The fact as well that this is already a good sword that you potentially want to build up, I'll put it into okay. It's almost even pushing good. I would almost even push this into the good side. I wish the boost attack just though was a 24 instead of a 16. So now with the Falchion, we have a second AoE elemental attack, but this one's now physical base. And since it's physical base, ZACK is already doing a lot of physical damage, so this is going to fit in pretty well, especially if something is weak to wind. It's going to be a pretty nice sword. In terms of the materia, nothing special on the materia side of things. We're usually looking for a sigil boost over here. But for the Falchion, 280, physical, wind, everyone. The boost attack and the wind potency, still, okay, we're down to a 9 potency now. This is where we've seen most of the other things, but it has that physical attack up, so it is just, it's making him hit harder. We're going to go over just the difference here. So between physical attack, the magic attack specific one is going to look the same as this with the 10, 20, 60, 80, sorry, 100, 5%, 10%, 15%. So you're going to see this, and then we're going to go back over to the Crystal Sword. We're going to click on boost attack. You'll see it's almost double values because this affects both your physical and your magic, whereas like on the Falchion for the physical side of things, just physical. So it's going to be about doubly as potent. For the Falchion, I'm going to put this easy into an A tier. Honestly, probably even like an A+, minus, as arbitrary as that sounds. The Falchion is still a good sword. If something is weak to wind and is weak to physical, S tier, okay? That's how all elements work. If it's weak to that element, it is an S tier weapon because just elemental advantages are massive in this game. In terms of the R abilities, the R ability here, I love a good physical. Like, if you can look up more, like here, let's with this. Let's go to motor drive, just really quickly, because the R abilities here is when we get to really think about other characters. So we're looking over at Tifa's motor drive. So if it has, we have 420, crazy high. Tifa's got all the high potencies when it comes to her single target abilities. Physical attack 32, 6 potency. The Falchion would be, oh my god, you're just gonna boost this up even higher. It is, I'm going to put this as a good, almost strictly for Tifa, because this motor drive is insane. But going through for ZACK, for the Falchion, in terms of the R ability, because it is a sub-weapon, you just can't go wrong with physical attack or magic attack when you're trying to build for those specific builds. Next up, we have Zweihander. If you guys know how to pronounce that correctly, please let me know down in the comments below. But this is a weapon that we got for free with the start of the game, with that campaign. It's nice that they gave us a free ZACK sword, because I know a lot of people were having issues clearing the Crisis Core missions because their ZACK wasn't strong enough. So it's nice that they gave us a free gold weapon, and then they also gave us another free weapon a little bit later. We'll go over that. But the Zweihander, 4 ATB, 500 physical. It's a good sword. It is a good basic sword if you cannot hit any of the elemental advantages, though we do have materia that lets you do either magic or physical for that. The Zweihander is a pretty good weapon. Out of all of ZACK's sword, technically it is the highest physical attack stat that we currently get. So you get 100% of these stats if it's your main weapon. We talked about with that heal boost, so if you want to put your Cura in there, it's already better than the enhancing sword now, pretty much. For weapons like this, especially with its R abilities, a lot of characters get those 500. The boost attack 24 is nice. The fire resistance is okay. For that though, I'm gonna put this as the standard. A weapon needs to be better than this. This needs to be like the baseline. These kind of weapons are a good baseline for characters, in my opinion. If it had crazy R abilities, it would be rated higher. If it had not good R abilities, honestly, I would still say the 500 damage here is still fine for the baseline. It's just the R abilities I think are holding it back. The 24 attack is fine. It would be better if it was physical, because this is just a straight up physical sword. I think Zweihander being like the baseline is a good thing. In terms of the sub tier list, I think it's okay. The chances are you're probably building this up anyways, and you're going to have it a bit of a stat stick. I'm going to put it a little bit on the right hand side here. The boost attack up by 24, so you're going to get half of that as a sub weapon. Fire resistance, sure, you can make use of that for Ifrit. There's a couple other firefights. I'm going to put it as okay. It's nothing crazy. It's not going to boost up your physical. It's not a high stat, but it's not a bad weapon. It has its place. Now for what I think honestly are ZACK's main two swords in the game is, the first one up is his arc sword. So arc sword here, 320 magic, non-elemental, lowers magic defense mid up to high for 20 seconds. Materia over here, it just boosts up his magical damage. The R abilities on this, very low. The 16 and the water resist, the R abilities, this is not why you're using this. This would be a good offhand sword for ZACK, but it is still one of his main two hands that he gets to use for his swords. If you are going for a very magic heavy team, ZACK also has some magic weapons. Either rocking the crystal sword or two other swords that I'm going to mention for ZACK. The arc sword makes him a great support for those mage heavy teams. Defense down, being able to hit harder, kill things quicker. Guess what? If things die faster, you get to heal less. You have to heal less because you take less damage because things are dead. Okay, so the arc sword, any sort of defense down, I'm going to put this as an A+. It's not for every situation. If you're not dealing magic damage, useless. Okay, but ZACK can deal magic damage and it's great for a mage team. In terms of R abilities and like a substat, I think the arc sword is just not very good. Okay, the magic attack 16 and water resistance, the magic attack, if that was like maybe a 24, I'd put it a bit higher. I'd put it into the okay. Like, again, that's all going to increase the more you overboost and you get it higher and higher. So if it's higher at just a 90, it's just going to get even, the gap's going to get even bigger as you upgrade your weapon. I love it as a main or offhand. I don't think it's a very good sub weapon. The last of the pullable weapons for ZACK is Cutlass, which is the weapon that I have the most built up for ZACK. It is the opposite of Arc Sword. It is going to lower the physical defense instead of the magic defense. Again, up to medium, all the way up to high. The materia side of things, nothing special on the materia. Our abilities, physical defense is nice. Ability potency, it's okay as well. The R abilities, nothing special. Again, this is strictly an ability sword. If you're running a heavy physical team, like I pair my ZACK up with my Cloud, and then I either have Tifa or Aerith as my third unit, units. And just being able to apply that high physical defense down is super strong. For that, I'm not going to put it into S tier. I'm going to put it into A+ tier as well. I'm going to put it into high because right now most teams that people are using are mainly physical based. I think that'll change as it gets to the future as we start to get more and more things. So I'm going to put Cutlass. Yeah, that one is Cutlass, making sure the icons are a lot smaller now. Right now we don't really have like an actual S tier for ZACK. I think ZACK is a super flexible character. You can run him exactly how you need with either the Zweihander if you're going to be running him for physical DPS and you don't need those elementals. You have the enhancing and the crystal and the Falchion for those elemental moments. Cutlass into Arc Sword if you're trying to lower either physical or magic defense. If you need to lower both, you can dual wield them. I don't recommend that much, but you could. In terms of our abilities and making Cutlass a sub weapon, like physical defense and ability potency, they're both fine. They're not physical attack, they're not HP, they're not magic attack. For me, like it is a meh. The chances are you're probably gonna have it built up though. You're probably already gonna have it built up, so you can like if this was my Cutlass here, my Cutlass is not quite purple, but it's almost here, so that gets up to like a 23 and a 32. So those numbers go up exponentially as you go further through. But if you're gonna if you're not whaling in the game, chances are, or you're not super lucky, both of them can work, okay? Because I'm not whaling in the game, but I have gotten lucky. I've gotten a lot of Cutlasses in my pull. It's in my wish list every single time, and I just happen to get a lot of them. And so if it's got those extra stats there and you need to get hit less, or you want the ability potency, attack stance, command gauge, yeah, you can find uses for it for sure. Just because something isn't good, okay, or meh, does not solidify of that's the only place it's gonna be. You gotta remember to be flexible with these sub weapons and try and just build for very specific things. For one of the two farmable ones, but this one you're gonna have to spend a lot more energy to get, and it's a little bit more RNG based than the next weapon that we're gonna go over is the Ifrit sword. Ifrit sword here, single target, fire damage, magic, 4 ATB. The R abilities on it, not super good. This thing is like almost made to be fighting Shiva. A lot of boost ice resist, a lot of boost HP. Materia, nothing special over here. This weapon's pretty cut and dry when it comes to just everything about it. For me, if you're fighting Shiva or you're fighting something that is A, weak to magic and B, weak to fire, this thing is going to be S tier. It's going to be fantastic. Like, Shiva is weak to fire and she is weak to magic, so this is going to rip her apart. But in terms of it on a day-to-day basis, like, you're going to probably build it up, you're going to get the stats. If you farm it enough, you can get it to purple. You can get it to purple with enough energy and just farming resources. But in terms of, like, the weapons as a whole, I'm not going to rate it super high. In terms of the substats, the boost ice is nice. The boost HP though is so small. It's just it is minuscule, and that is definitely the main thing that I would want to go for. So for that, I'm going to be putting it into meh. In the moments where you're going to be wanting that ice resist, sure, you can make it work if your characters are not going to get one shot, but chances are you're going to be wanting to go for more damage or just more flat HP in general. So that's just what I think about Ifrit sword. When it's going to shine, it's going to shine, but otherwise I think it's okay, and the fact that you can farm it is nice. Our last weapon is the beach parasol from the watermelon farming events. I know most people's beach parasols look like this, but right now we're comparing everything like this, because if in a perfect world, eventually everyone's weapons will get at least to this range, to the overboost, maybe getting into 1 purple, or just getting higher up into the overboost. Even still, most people's beach parasols are going to look like this. The stats are good. The stats are good for this, okay? The magic rate 560 does nice. The boost HP 27, the magic defense 24. Still nothing special in the materia side of things. In terms of the weapon, look at the stats as well, okay? These stats are not good. Like, the current 90 weapons that we have, 376, 398, okay? With maxed out. If you can compare that to even a not fully overboosted into purple, Zweihander has a bunch more physical attack, so it's not even that good of a stat stick. Like, the stats on it are low, but we get it for free. 495 into the magic attack for an arc sword. So again, take this into comparison, everything being the same power level. The boost HP 16, magic defense not great. We're getting at a 27 and a 24 though, so right now, like, yes, this is higher. I do recommend you build this. I do recommend you use this because we get it for free and it's great stats for right now. But in terms of everything on equal playing fields and trying to just make sure that we're all going through, in my opinion, the beach parasol is like a C tier weapon. I know a lot of people we're just going for the equal footing. We're going for everything in that perfect vacuum. Real world right now, it's an A+, it's to an S tier. It's great stat stick. In terms of everything for its performance, it's not that good. In terms of the R abilities, the boost HP is still nice. Magic defense, it's a very good sub weapon. It's a good survivability thing. It's nothing going to be crazy. I will put it into a high okay in terms of the beach umbrella. Again, if we're comparing it to everything equal, right now, this is definitely good. Build this up, use it as a sub weapon ability. I'm not saying don't build this. I don't know how many times I want to just try and really force this in, but I'm trying to go everything from equal footing. So I think with that, that is where our ZACK tier list is going to be. For my opinion, ZACK does not have a straight up S tier weapon. I think ZACK is a very flexible character. If I could share an S tier, I know I said only one S tier and one D tier. I do think Enhancing Sword is his worst weapon, like bar none. But then I could put Arc Sword or Cutlass into S tier. Both of them fit. I think, you know what, both of them I think can kind of share that title. The Crystal Sword is also very good, but I think it's going to be like A++, and the Crystal Sword is going to be just with that sigil boost and the elemental damage. All of our elemental swords, when it's going to work, put them up higher. If you're just going to go for single, let's put it this way, for fire, if you're just trying to do fire damage, go for the Ifrit sword. If you are also breaking sigils, go for the Crystal Sword. For me, I think that this is where I want to go for our ZACK. His abilities, I know the Falchion, I put it into good, almost strictly for that motor drive. It just, oh my god, it pairs so strong. All of these HP and physical attack ups, good as well. The Mez, they have their time and place. If you disagree, again, this is here. We're here to try and figure things out. We're here to communicate because there's no PvP, so I don't care how strong you guys get. You don't care how strong I get. I want to try and make sure that we are all as strong as we can be together. Because if you're trying to help people out in co-ops, the stronger we all are, the easier it's going to be as a community. If you're enjoying these tier lists, don't forget to subscribe. I also stream over at Twitch at twitch.tv/longtimetwitch. So give me a follow over there. Check me out when I go live. And again, thank you so much for joining me on today's tier list. And we're going to get started on the First Soldier characters. Rest in peace, that game. If you never played First Soldier, and unfortunately, I don't know if you ever will. As it stands right now, I think it's going to be dead media. So we're going to get started off with Glenn in our first of the First Soldier characters. I'll see you guys in the next one.